Hi guys, so today I have the new Tilly and the Buttons book, Stretch, to review for you. I'm going to go through kind of what the book covers and the patterns that are in it as well. I'm warning you now, this is probably going to be quite a biased review. I both modelled in the book and pattern tested for Tilly last year, so I've been sitting on these patterns for quite a while. I'm going to show you guys all the test versions that I made up last year as well. So I tested 5 of the 6 patterns. I only didn't do the last Joni dress in there, and that's because I kind of ran out of time at the time. But I'll go through, you can have a look and see how those actually look made up and on a real person in real life moving around. Alright, so this is the book, Stretch, by Tilly and the Buttons. This book has loads of information at the beginning on how to use the book. Let's get this right in the middle for you guys. How to use the book, what you need to buy, what kind of fabrics you need to look for as well, which is really useful to know. Testing stretch, which is really important. So that's something that it will be useful for in the future. Any stretch, any fabrics that you need to purchase, because that will determine what's appropriate for your project a lot of the time. She's got a lot of information about fitting, okay, so different ways of adjusting length for bust and for shoulders as well. Got information on prepping your fabric as well, so it's mostly washing and drying appropriately. She likes to use a rotary cutter to cut, and I do find that you'll get a more accurate cut with a rotary cutter as well. And of course the importance of matching stripes, because everyone knows all sewists love stripes. Alright, so what I really like about this book is that it shows you how you can use your regular machine to sew knits. You don't need to have anything special if you don't want to kind of invest in an overlocker and a cover stitch and things like that. You don't need to. It's got information on how to finish edges, make everything nice and neat. And my favourite section is this one, the sewing knits and an overlocker. And that is because overlockers can be very scary. They have a machine full of lots of different moving parts, loads of threads going in there, and it can be very, very daunting to get started on using that. So it's got lots of information about how to thread machines. Of course, every machine might be different, so always check your own manual, but it's got lots of general information about that, and best way of changing threads, overlocking curves and corners too. I liked this part in particular, the troubleshooting section, which is this one here. This one is, it's a section that most people have in their overlocker manuals, but it's usually very unclear as to what the problem is, how to fix it. I like that this gives you lots of information about that too. And from there we go straight into the patterns. The first pattern's the BB skirt. That's me. My first and only modelling job. The BB skirt is the simplest pattern in the book. Okay, it's just a simple knit pencil skirt that consists of 4 panels, so front, side, back, side, and the back of that. So, and each of the panels are exactly the same. So it's literally 2 pattern pieces, the skirt piece and the waistband that you cut 4 times. With each pattern, there's lots of these little sections in between there with sewing tips, techniques and fabrics in there as well. And usually they're appropriate to each design, so you'll be able to kind of get lots of information about what you need for that particular pattern. So the BB skirt's really simple, but it's a very effective shape, makes for a very comfortable skirt. At the end of each pattern section, Tilly goes over some hacks on how to make each one individual to you. So this one shows you how to make a vent in the front, so a split seam in the leg, and you can see the vented area here, and that gets turned over, and that makes a nice neat edge on the split there. She also shows you how to do a mitered corner for the inside, which I really like. I think mitered corners look amazing. And these ones also come with a waist tab. There is a pattern for the waist tab in the back as well, so you can just cut that out and add that little detail on there too. And the same with the pinafore dress, which I really like. I think that looks adorable. Zena looks so cute in that photo. And you see how it crosses over in the back, and there's some other little ideas as well if you wanted to do something a bit more individual too. The next section, let's move on to the next pattern. The Frankie t-shirt. So this is a baseball t-shirt, really simple design, raglan sleeve tee with a neck band. I love sewing up a raglan sleeve tee. I think that raglan sleeves are so easy to put in, much easier than set-in sleeves, so this is a really good one to start off with if you're worried about those. This uses the quartering technique on the neckband, which goes into more detail here about attaching that in, and that's to make sure that with the neckband you're attaching something that's shorter to and stretching that out to fit around the neckline there, and that will make sure that it doesn't gape and the band will sit flat as well. And at the end of this one, more ideas on how to make it your own. So this one uses a lemon applique on there, which is very fresh, very summery look. And there's also an option for a V neckline detail, and again that little triangular pattern piece is included in the patterns. And this is me wearing that t-shirt, and this one uses the short sleeves, which you can see. They made my arms look so skinny in this one. They're not normally this thin. You can see the little V-neck detail on there too. These pants, which I'll show you later in a little bit once I get to the garments that I've made. These ones are my test version of the Stella joggers from later in the book, and I've been living in those since I made them. Okay. The next one is the Freya sweater and dress, and this one's had a lot of love on Instagram already. After wearing that sweater, I had a sudden love of everything leopard print. So I suddenly had a lot of leopard in my wardrobe after that. And so the Freya sweater, it's this one here. This skirt I'm wearing is the BB skirt as well from earlier in the book, but this is my test version again of it. So I'm quite pleased about that. A couple of my mates actually made it into the book. But the Freya sweater is a simple turtleneck sweater. You can always make it without the turtleneck, to be fair. And then potentially look at adding a neckband or a facing in there. But a nice slim-fitted sweater there. It could be made in probably quite a few different types of fabrics, depending on what you want to achieve from what look you want to achieve from that, really. And this one comes with the option for a nice A-line skirt on the dress, for the dress version, which is quite nice. Alright, so let's move on a little bit. You can have a look about the constructions. And this one, whilst it's a more of a set-in sleeve, these sleeves are going in flat. So not a fully set-in sleeves. These are much easier to put it in than before the side seams are sewn up, and you're able to get those in and manipulate those curves much more easily. Alright. And then the make it your own section. So as I said, this one's the one that's had a lot of love on Instagram, with this yellow version that Zena wears. This one has a pleated ruffle across the front of it. And since ruffles are all the rage still, I can sense a lot of people might be looking at doing that. This is actually just top stitched onto the sweater, in fact, before the side seams are sewn up. So again, a nice easy detail to put on there. So this one has a roll neck on there. So this is it's basically just a longer version of the neckline that already comes here. So this is the mock neck, so it's just a shorter version. This one just extends it to make it longer. So really good if you're looking for something that gives you a bit more coverage, a bit more warmth in the winter. And the cow neck, this one here. This pattern piece actually comes with in the back with all the paper patterns there as well. and that just gives you another look. Again, you don't have to have it on the dress version, you can make that as a sweater with a cowl neck as well then. So the Stella hoodie and joggers, this is my favourite pattern of the bunch, and in fact when I tested this I actually ended up making a version that looks almost identical to this sweater here in a dress version, but this completely by accident. I'd already gotten my fabric, and before I saw the test photos, so sometimes I swear Tilly is just in my head and just thinking the exact same thing. So the Stella hoodie and joggers is such good loungewear, seriously such good loungewear. The joggers are probably my favourite thing that I've made for quite a long time. Now these, people might think it's complicated, but it's actually a really simple sew, both the hoodie and the trousers, and the instructions are really simple, really straightforward. The hood's fully lined, so it's a really great way to put in some contrast. So she's used a stripe here. I've actually got a stripe on mine too. Again, almost identical. It's really weird. And again, this sweater has a nice drop sleeve, so even easier to set those in. Very few curves on there. And for the joggers down here, again, really simple. These are, I find, very simple. If anyone's ever made the marigold jumpsuit, the shape of those legs are actually quite similar, and of the style of the pockets too. This one, really simple, not much to do, lots of straight lines around the sides and pockets, and the waistband, the waist is held in with elastic, so the waistband creates a channel and you just pull the elastic through that, as well as the drawstring as well. And yeah, as I said, I've made a dress version of the hoodie for myself, so I made one with long sleeves and then just as a mini dress. The jogging bottoms I've made for myself, I've also made them for both my sisters. That's how much, and they both love them. That's how good they are. And I'm tempted to make more. They're really my favourite thing. I love this fabric. Everyone needs grey and gold spots. Alright, this is the last pattern in the book. It's the Joni dress. This is actually the only one that I didn't test myself because I ran out of time there. It's really cute though. I have worn it, I've not made it. It's a nice flowy, got a nice like flippy skirt with this interesting twist on the top. I do like the velvet versions. I do think that looks really swish. So as you can see, as the patterns go on, they move on through the book. You start from really simple stuff at the BB skirt, and this starts to get that slight bit more complicated. And this is probably one of my favourite pictures in the whole book. That glitter skirt, man, that looks amazing, doesn't it? So sequins, you can get those on stretch, which you can see here works really well for patterns like this. The other options for the Joni is to have a ruche sleeve, which is what this does. It uses a little bit of elastic to pull it in right at the edge like that. This is my version. I say my version. This is the version of the Joni dress that I'm wearing there, which was a lot of fun to kind of spin around in. This comes with an option for flared sleeves. So this isn't one that's included in the book. She's showing you how to draft that yourself. So that's a case of slashing and spreading in order to create that volume with those sleeves. And this is Tilly. So this is the reason why Tilly didn't model for her own ones, I think. It's just the fact that she was very heavily pregnant at the time. So she's given you an option for maternity hack for that too. And we are coming to the end. She's got some information about resources, books, workshops, sewing patterns and fabric stores, which is really nice and useful. These are the patterns at the back of the book, all printed on real paper, but they are printed front and back, so you do need to trace them in order to use them. But I love that they're all included there, so no need for having to print anything off. And that's it. Make yourself comfortable. Wise words to live by, I think. So this is the BB skirt. This is actually the one that I'm wearing in the book.
So this one's made out of 4 panels, so the front size and the back are all the same, and the front and back waistband are the same as well. So you can make this reversible. You can wear it whichever way you want to, and it's pretty much the same, except for you've got that on the sides. Obviously you've got the side seams on the waistband. Really simple pencil skirt, easy to fit, kind of make it as tight fitted as you wanted to, I guess, really. With a stretchy enough fabric, you can probably size down on this. This is using a Ponte knit, a really stretchy grey knit that I got in Paris. Not quite sure on the content of it actually, but it did seem to work really well for this. It's quite a heavy knit jersey, which I do think the heavier the knit, the better it will be for something like this, where you want a bit of structure. So this is the Frankie tee, the baseball tee. I like to have the sleeves rolled up, that's personal preference. And you see, really fits nicely. It comes out towards the hips to kind of just skim over those quite nicely. I didn't do the little V-neck. I chose not to, just to keep this a little bit simpler. The bodice here, I've made it out of a single knit jersey. It's got black with some silver flecks through it. And the arms are made with a ribbed white jersey, or cream jersey. So this is the Freya sweater. Now I made this into a hack when I made it. So this is the actual sweater, the plain sweater that comes in the pattern pack. So I kind of cut it down to here and then just extended it straight all the way down, so parallel all the way down, to make it into this kind of midi length dress. So this also has the original mock neck. You can make that longer if you wanted to have a higher tassel neck on the top there. But yeah, I love it. Again, I love that today's patterns really go for curves, so it really comes out really nicely on my hips here. I did grade upper sides on the hips just to make sure that it skimmed and wasn't super tight around here, which is good. And you can see how it looks. So I've made this out of a rib knit. So this is a tubular rib knits, the ones that come all joint together, all in one row, which I cut open and then cut out my pattern pieces from there. I've tried kind of, didn't join up my stripes that well on each side, but I do think that really matters. It's got, it's quite a nice one to make out of a rib knit. It's quite a nice warm wintry dress, this one, which I do quite like. But yeah, there's loads of ways that you can kind of change this particular sweater and sweater dress version into making something that you like. So I wasn't so keen on the A-line skirt that came with it, so I just made that into more of a pencil shape to get that more slim fitted silhouette. And you can make that, you can even make this a maxi dress all the way down to the floor if you wanted to, and that'll be great for those cold winters. But yeah, this is the one that in the book it has Zena's wearing the yellow version with the pleated ruffle neckline as well. So there's lots of ways that you can jazz this out and make it a bit more unique if that's what you're going for. So these are the Stella joggers. This I've made out of French terry that I got from Stuff and Still. Actually managed to squeeze them out of just over a meter's worth of fabric, so actually very good value for money in terms of kind of how much fabric you need. These are missing the bottom cuffs at the bottom, and I've been wearing them turned up there, and that is because I ran out of fabric. I cut my cuffs wrong and ran out of fabric, and so I just left them, I just hemmed them and left them rather than adding those on, which I think still works perfectly well. They both come with slight pockets in each seam, slanted pockets on the top, and they use a quite a thick waistband elastic around the top and a little drawstring on the front there. You probably can't see the details too well in this fabric because it is black. I have been living in these for the past 8 to 10 months since I made them. I wear them all the time. Literally the most comfy things I think I've ever made. So this is the Stella hoodie, which I've made into a little mini dress version. Essentially just extend down the side seams and make that as long or as short as you wanted to. You could potentially make a cropped hoodie if you wanted to and make that into a short version. These hoodies have a drop shoulder, so the shoulder seam comes up to here, which means that it's really easy to get the sleeves in because there's less of a curve in this area as well. And it has a hood which is fully lined. Mine has stripes on the inside. This actually turned out almost exactly like the version in the book, completely by accident because I picked out all my fabrics before I'd seen the photos. We just happened to think exactly the same. But yeah, this is how that's turned out. A lot of grey ribbon on the front there and the kangaroo pocket, which I've also lined with a stripe on the inside there too. Again, so comfy. I should actually make a version to match my jogging bottoms, I think, but this is really, really lovely. I made this in a French terry, again from Stuff and Still. These French terriers don't have a lot of stretch to them, okay, which make it firstly really, really easy to sew up, because you're not worrying about seams stretching out of shape, okay? And because there's so much ease in these patterns, so that's how loose they are, and there's no worrying that it's going to be too tight, you're not going to be able to kind of get into those. I've actually sewn these, most of these are all sewn up with a straight stitch, although this one's actually sewn with an overlock. No, these have all been sewn up with a straight stitch, which is not technically what you should be doing if you're reading the book instructions, because there's so little stretch in these fabrics. A straight stitch actually worked fine, so I sew these all up on a regular machine. Some of the edges I've overlocked, this one I've overlocked, my jogging bottoms I haven't, but they will work exactly the same there. Okay.
Thanks for watching, guys, and sticking with that rather long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave any feedback or comments below, and until next time, bye guys.